Live.
It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You're locked on to the NBA Draft Lottery. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, media member and coordinator for the Locked On Podcast Network. And joining me, his heart is pounding already, Jackson Gatlin, host of Locked On Raptor, host of
Locked On Raptors? Locked On Raptors?
His heart is pounding. The fate of his franchise, nay, the fate of his career relies on what happens tonight. Jackson, what you got for me?
Hey, that's my line, Nick. Quit stealing my stuff. No, man, it's going to be, look, I already echoed as much on today's Locked On Rockets, but this draft lottery this night, it really holds the fate of the Rockets franchise in its hands because they are either going to they're going to little tiny dove because look, they're either going to walk away with a top 4 prospect or they're going to fall from pick number 5 all the way down to pick number 18. And any way you slice it, missing out on a prospect, even if it's it feels weird to say just Jonathan Kuminga because the ceiling is still incredibly high on him. Assuming he's the guy left at number 5, falling from Jonathan Kuminga down to number 18 still hurts a lot. It's not quite like missing out on one of those other top 4 prospects, but it's still a devastating blow for a team that just got done being the worst team in the association at 17-55.
So worst case scenario, Rockets lose their pick, and we've gone over it, I feel like, on Twitter several times, but go through the Rockets scenarios for everybody watching right now. What's the Rockets situation? They keep their pick, they lose their pick, and then get into a little best case, worst case.
So I think you can look at it very easily as 3 kind of different pathways. And the first of which is going to be number 1 overall pick, Cade Cunningham. That's kind of everybody's best case scenario, right? Everybody's hoping that they catapult up the list and walk away with Cade at the number 1 spot. So that's best case scenario. That kind of expedites the Rockets rebuild and throws them back into, an expedited rebuild where you can maybe expect that they're going to be a competitive team again within maybe even like a 2-year window because of how promising Cade Cunningham is as a prospect. Then you've got option number 2 where you just keep the pick and it's any one of those guys, 2 through 4, Mobley, Suggs, Green, one of those guys you walk away with. And you look at that as kind of a more middle of the pack pick where those guys still have really incredibly high ceilings. They're going to absolutely impact the franchise, maybe just not as quickly as a Cade Cunningham would. And so that's option number 2, the kind of middle of the road one. And then the worst option, right, is their pick falls to number 5. It conveys to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then the Rockets plummet all the way down in the draft standings to number 18. So then they would have the number 18 overall pick, the number 23 overall pick, and the number 24 overall pick. And they would miss out on the chance at a top prospect after being the worst team in the league. So that's the one where you look at that one, and that's going to be the one where the Rockets are going to be in the basement for a while, kind of a more elongated rebuilding timeline instead of being jump-started with one of these top prospects.
Interesting. You talked about some of the worst case scenario, which is actually some of the best case scenario for our first host on deck. Rylan Stiles, Locked On Thunder. I'm just going to step back and let you guys go at it. Rylan, there's a little bit of schadenfreude here with you and Jackson. You're ready for Jackson to just be absolutely crushed tonight.
Yeah, it will be great to watch Jackson's face whenever the Thunder get the Rockets pick at 5. I will feel bad for you, Jackson. I truly do like you, buddy, and happy birthday to you, but it'll be pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah, Nick, we didn't even announce it. So, yeah, for everybody watching, my birthday was yesterday, June 21st. And look, I don't ask for a lot, okay? I didn't ask for any presents. I didn't ask for anything. I asked for some YouTube subs yesterday, but other than that, I don't ask for a whole lot. And all I want for my birthday is for the Rockets to keep their number 4 overall pick. Just give me number 4. I don't even care. 1, 2, 3, it's fine. Just give me number 4 overall, and I will be content. I will be happy with that.
Oh man,
Rylan, so I know that you're going to be reveling in my dismay, but if the Thunder don't like acquire the Rockets pick at number 5, right? But what happens if the Thunder, drop a couple spots? What if somebody else shoots up and the Thunder walk away? Remind us really quick, what's the lowest that the Thunder's pick can actually be?
Yeah, so the lowest it can be is actually not the worst case scenario. The lowest it can be is 8. But if the Thunder do fall to 8, the Rockets have to fall to 5. So they at least get the 5th overall pick and the 8th overall pick. The worst case scenario is if we see the Thunder at 7, because that means the Thunder get the 7th overall pick and likely the 18th overall pick. And they also have the 16th overall pick from the Kemba Walker trade. But 7 and 18 would be the worst outcome tonight. 6 and 18 is on the table as well. So it's only 2 bad outcomes and a lot of really good ones. So hopefully things can shake out Oklahoma City's way. The most likely outcome, though, percentage-wise, is 6 and 18. Not great because you don't get the top 5 pick. But if you give Sam Presti the pick of the litter outside of that top 5, I feel pretty confident in that.
Well, I know I'm not cheering for you to walk away with any of the best case outcomes because your best case outcomes are my worst case outcomes. And I hate that for us because, look, despite the Rockets' tumultuous season, it has been an absolute joy going back and forth with you, shouting 52.1% and 47.9% at the top of our respective lungs. But that must all come to an end here very, very shortly as we are less than 30 minutes away from the start of the draft lottery, where we will see the rapid fire succession of picks being announced and which teams jump up, which teams plummet. And it's going to be a lot to stomach, man.
Let's start bringing in some of our other hosts. This is going to be more of a casual stream. This is not going to be like our Locked On NBA draft show where it's really set and everybody's going to be brought in. So here we go. Evan Dammerell, Locked On Cavs. Kuka Hill, Locked On Pistons. Kuka Hill, Locked On Pistons, making it happen, and Wes Goldberg, Locked On Warriors.
We're gonna get DMCA'd off this.
Who's playing music? Q. I'm muting Q. I'm muting Q. He's out. Get the music out. All right, let's start with Evan. Evan, what's best case and worst case for the Cavs tonight?
Best case is probably 1st overall. Worst case is...
He said, wait, hold on. He said probably. What would the other options be?
2 or 3 as well. The Cleveland Cavaliers are a team that have not had much draft lottery luck through the years, so maybe something goes their way for once this time. But absolute... I hear the keyboards.
I want to file an HR complaint.
Yeah,
there you go.
Too.
But probably worst case is anything outside of the top 4. And if Oklahoma City also pops out of the top 4, every pick Cleveland has at that point is always guaranteed to be 1 spot lower than Oklahoma City. And the lowest they can go is 9th, and they only have a 0.6% chance of that. But crazier things have happened at this point. And I don't know. We'll see what happens. My friend reminded me the other day that the Cavs were tied for the top odds in the Zion sweepstakes, and they were leapt by New Orleans, the Lakers, and the Grizzlies, while the Knicks only slid to 3. And I haven't felt pain like that since my first breakup in high school. So I'm ready to be hurt again.
What was her name?
It was Jessica.
Oh, Jessica. Bringing back the memories. Well, who's representing the Cavs tonight? Is it Bowtie Nick Gilbert?
No, it's not. It's Kobe Altman virtually. He might wear the bow tie. The Cavs changed their profile picture on Twitter to the bow tie. I haven't checked anywhere else on social, but so far, so good. I don't know. We'll see what happens. David Griffin represented the Cavs, I think, last time they got the first pick with the Andrew Wiggins pick, and David Griffin was there when they got Zion. So maybe his protege will be the luck the Cavs need to, once again, finally get some lottery luck.
Kuka Hill, Locked On Pistons. The future of the franchise kind of depends on tonight. What are you feeling? What's best and worst case?
We still got Coop playing music
again. What is going
Check your input settings. It might be coming from your actual computer.
All right, we're skipping Q. Wes Goldberg, Locked On Warriors. Best and worst case. A couple of things could happen for the Warriors tonight.
2 picks that they're monitoring, right? They're monitoring their own pick at slotted at number 14, and then the Minnesota pick that they got in that Andrew Wiggins, D'Angelo Russell swap from a couple of years ago. So, look, I think there's a lot of intrigue that can happen here. The Warriors' own pick at 14, 98% chance that it stays there at number 14. We're going to know, though, really soon, immediately, whether or not that's number 14 or if that thing jumps all the way up into the top 4, right? Because the Warriors' own pick at 14 it's either there or it's in the top 4. So as soon as that first envelope is unveiled, that would sort of tell Warriors fans if that best case scenario is happening, Because if it goes into the top 4, then if you're the Warriors, you end up with one of these, game-changing type of talents. And then they have the Minnesota pick, which is protected for the top 3. So if it's in the top 3, it stays with the Timberwolves. But there's a 9.6% chance that it ends up at number 4. And that's the best case scenario for the Warriors, right? Like there is a slim chance that they end up with the 1st and 4th pick in this draft. A team that has Steph Curry, Klay Thompson coming back, Draymond Green already there, part of their core. So that's the best case scenario. Most realistic scenario is that they end up with 14 and something like 7 or 8 or something like that.
Now, Wes, if you hit that best case scenario, I mean, does that increase the, or I should say, does that decrease the likelihood that the Warriors might look at potentially, moving one of these young prospects to kind of bolster the lineup around, Steph, Klay, Dre, if they walk away and they are just, back down at 14? I mean, what's the likelihood of the Warriors being interested in moving one of these picks, or do you kind of see them maybe bring in a prospect and thinking that they need to bring in some more youth to surround the big 3?
Well, it's an interesting question because if you end up with one of these top 4 picks, that is a lot more valuable in a trade, right? And so if the disgruntled superstar becomes available and then wants to play in Golden State, then that would probably be the center of some sort of package. So in some respect, it would probably be more likely that they would move that. But I do know that the Warriors would be very comfortable taking one of these consensus top 5 talents if they end up with 1 or 2 picks in that range. So I think that if they do end up with that kind of pick, that they would love to take somebody young and then kind of get between that player and James Wiseman. You kind of have your core for when Steph and Klay and Draymond age out of their primes, and you're just kind of set for the next 10, 15 years, at least in the Warriors' mind. That would be the idea strategically. If they end up at 7 and 14, for example, I think they'll explore shopping those picks. But I also think that they're, again, really, really comfortable adding a couple of rookies because it's one thing to add 19 and 20-year-olds, and I don't think that they should do that, by the way. I'm on the record as saying that on my podcast. But those guys are cheap, right? Like rookies are cheap on rookie scale deals, and they are paying a lot of money to Steph, Klay, Draymond, and Andrew Wiggins. It's the highest payroll in the league, and that stuff really matters when you're Joe Lacob and you haven't had fans in the arena for most of last season. So I think they'd be very comfortable, but they'll obviously explore all the avenues.
We've got our in-house draft expert waiting in the wings, and we got to bring him in now. Chad Ford joining the stream. What's up, Chad?
Aloha, everybody.
Now, Chad, we kind of started this thing off, and we're gonna try and get a little bit more professional now with you in the picture. But give us, we're gonna kind of start this off. We've tackled a few different possibilities here, but one that we haven't talked about, and maybe we can get you to set some of this up with some initial thoughts, and then hopefully we can finally hear from Koo. But let's talk Detroit Pistons for a second, and we're gonna go kind of best case, worst case for the Pistons here.
Well, look, the best case is that they add Cade Cunningham or Evan Mobley or Jalen Green, and they have a superstar to build around. I mean, that's all 3 of those guys are significantly better than anybody that they have on their team long-term to build around. I like what they did in last year's draft, but those guys, all of them, Killian Hayes, Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, are really complementary players. They're nice young pieces to have on your roster. They do not have the guy yet. But Cade Cunningham can be the guy. Jalen Green can be the guy. I'm a big fan of Jalen Green for the Pistons, actually. In most scenarios, I have Evan Mobley or Cade Cunningham going 1, but Detroit is a bit of an exception there. I think the scoring that he brings to the table, I think he can be a 25 to 30 point a night scorer in the NBA. I think he's a guy that you can market around. I think he's a guy who generates huge fan interest because of the dynamic way in which he plays the game. He's one of the teams, Detroit's one of those teams that I actually think Jalen Green is a great outcome for them. And look, in most scenarios that I'm mocking right now, it's Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, and a couple it's Evan Mobley, then Cade Cunningham. And so Detroit theoretically can only needs to be at 3 to really get Jalen Green. And there's a number of scenarios where he might be on the board at 4 or even 5.
Chad, is there anybody that you're seeing right now in mock drafts or across boards anywhere, anybody from the top 5 or even somebody that people have heard of that people are too low on? Is there anybody that you're seeing right now? They're like, man, everybody says this is a top 5 draft. Is there anybody else that could get into that top 5, or is there anybody in that top 5 that's not being talked about enough?
Yeah, for the last week, it's been Scotty Barnes out of Florida State, who I actually think has surpassed Jonathan Kuminga on most boards, and in some cases has surpassed Jalen Suggs on boards. You're talking about a 6'8", 225-pound, 7'3" wingspan point guard. And I think this is the thing. It's hard to imagine that he's a point guard. He looks like a power forward, but he played point guard for Florida State coming off the bench. That is his best position. He sees the floor well, and he gets after it defensively. He can defend 4 positions in the NBA. And so you're talking about a really, really special passer and a really special person. His teammates love him. His coaches love him. He can't shoot the basketball. That's a big question. And I know everybody watching Ben Simmons just absolutely melt in the playoffs are like, we can't draft anybody that can't shoot. But, a couple of things I'd say about Scotty Barnes. One, he actually was not a terrible shooter in high school. He regressed a little bit at Florida State. Cade Cunningham was not as good a shooter as Scotty Barnes was in high school, and he kind of overperformed what we expected. And so maybe, given the role that Scotty Barnes played, that could be something. And two, the game isn't just 3-point shooting and scoring. There are so many other ways that players affect the game. Very few players do what Ben Simmons does and just absolutely refuse to actually even touch or shoot the basketball. And so I don't think we should let this recency bias of what we saw happen with Ben Simmons, who, by the way, has made multiple all-star teams, was a third-team All-NBA, first-team defensive guy. So he's not a scrub. He's given some value there. And say, oh, don't draft Scotty Barnes. Would it be ideal if he could shoot? Yeah, but if he could shoot, I think he'd be the number 1 pick in the draft, honestly. I think he would actually be a better prospect than Cade Cunningham if we knew that he could shoot the basketball.
Now, Chad, here's a really interesting one for you is if you could pick, right, you're in the draft room and you're the one, freezing envelopes and folding corners, and you were able to tee up where Cade Cunningham was going to go. Which team is the most interesting fit for Cade Cunningham in your eyes?
And he's an interesting fit everywhere because he's so versatile. I mean, this is the most coveted position in the NBA. There's only like 2 teams right now in the lottery that I don't think need him. One is the Charlotte Hornets. They have LaMelo Ball. I don't necessarily know how you play LaMelo Ball, Gordon Hayward, and Cade Cunningham together. Evan Mobley seems like a much better fit there. And I think San Antonio, would they take him? Probably, but San Antonio desperately, I think, needs a big that they could start to build around. But I will say this, the most intriguing scenario for me on draft night is that Oklahoma City gets the 1st pick and they get the 5th pick in the draft. And Sam Presti,
man after my heart.
Chad, why? Why are you going to do this to me, man?
Sam Presti, who's been hoarding these draft picks, like it pays off for a big way. I mean, if they were to add a pick 1 and a pick 5 to the Thunder with what they have, that immediately becomes the most interesting team in the NBA. Like overnight, the most interesting young team. Why is that paying you so much? Why do you hate Oklahoma City so much?
I don't hate Oklahoma City. I'm the Rockets representative, man. I don't want them to lose their pick. Oh. That's my whole shtick. It's been my whole thing for months. 52.1%.
Patrick Beverley.
Oh, come on. Let it go, man. Let it go.
All right. Yeah. If you're a Rockets fan, I just described Armageddon to you. So yeah.
How far do you think it'd set the Rockets back if they don't get their pick, this top 5 pick with these 5 guys?
It's significant. They don't have much else. And look, I think the Rockets are going to be set back for years as it is. And so now that you take away a top 5 pick in a draft where those picks are really, really valuable. Like all of those guys to me are tier 1 or at the least tier 2 picks. That's tough. I mean, that's a massive, massive blow to a team. And look, next year's draft is looking like shaping up to be a good draft. I personally right now like this draft a little bit better.
All right, I'm gonna branch out a little bit to the rest of the hosts. We got Tony East from Locked On Pacers joining, Ben Beacon, Locked On Wolves, Kuka Hill potentially with his microphone figured out and his music. We have him joining the show. Who do we not want to see get the number 1 pick? I'll just throw that out to anybody.
Nobody wants to go. Oh man, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say, I don't want to see the Pelicans get the number 1 overall pick. If the Pelicans jump up for whatever reason and walk away with the number 1 overall pick, I'm going to be heated. That's the one team. Look, they just got Zion, who is, the jewel of the NBA in the national media's eyes. They don't need another number 1 overall selection. I'm sorry. So that's my 2 cents.
To lose in 5 years? Yeah. Or 6 years?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. to have just walk away from the franchise.
I'm going to go the other way. I don't want to see the Thunder get it. I don't.
Oh.
I think they've got enough picks. Why do they need number 1?
I agree, Wes.
And you don't want to see them get
Just haters. Don't want to see us be great.
you don't want to see them be rewarded for what they've been doing, right? Like you don't want to see them get rewarded for all this tanking and all that, right?
Picks don't win
For
championships,
half a year
Rylan.
taking in a pandemic season with no fans. I think that's pretty fair. I think that they calculated it just right. No fans, only tank for half a season. What else could you ask for?
Only tank for half a
after
season. They've been
13, 14 years of
players
dominance.
for first-round picks for the last 5 years.
That's 2 years, though. Kevin Durant left.
Seems like
Russ
seems like
went
5
out.
years.
Paul George went out. That's it.
The team that deserves it the most is Toronto, right? And if we're gonna play like conspiracy, small market teams, things get rigged. Toronto had to play in Tampa Bay of all places for an entire year. They are kind of the emerging market in the NBA. They obviously just won the finals in 2019. Kawhi leaves. They've got some interesting pieces in Van Vliet and Siakam. You could put Cade Cunningham in there or something like that. Now you've really got something. You've got Toronto back into the playoffs, Toronto back on the map for the NBA. 7.5% chance that they get the number 1 pick. I'm just saying, I'm not a believer in conspiracies, but if I did, I would say that Toronto is definitely coming out of this thing with the number 1 pick.
If we're talking conspiracies, the Rockets are the only big market team in the lottery. So maybe Adam Silver's knocking on that door like, hey, we gotta fix this big market and get them out of the basement of the NBA.
The Bulls are there.
Yeah.
The Bulls and Golden State feel like bigger markets to me.
Toronto,
From the
I forget who I don't know who I had this debate with the other day. We were like talking about it, and it was kind of like, well, they are, but they aren't. Like how do they're pseudo bigger markets? Chicago definitely, Golden State, especially because the Warriors, have absolutely put them on the map over the last decade, half a decade.
If we're going landmass size, Houston is way bigger than Chicago. So
There we go.
you can take that one, Jackson. I don't know about people wise. It's still Chicago.
That's what I always think about with NBA markets. Is
Yeah,
land.
right.
It's like I mean, Houston's like the 3rd or 4th most populous city in the U.S. What?
So the
Ben
Pacers
Beacon.
haven't picked above 10 since 1989. Can we get some shine?
No
and
way.
light?
Is that true?
Yeah, their last pick, Paul George was number 10, and they haven't had a pick lower than that since the 80s when they picked Rick Schmitz. So yes, they do not ever pick high. It is their time to jump up, and they have many division foes. Hello, Evan and Koo, who could jump up and give them some tougher regular seasons for years to come. So they need some luck tonight, or else the Pistons and maybe even the Bulls can jump up. So the Pacers are in a precarious spot. They deserve some luck finally. I mean, Miles Turner is their only really high pick of the last decade, basically. So they could use it from 13.
The Pacers don't deserve anything from moving on from Nate McMillan to Bjorkgren and now firing Bjorkgren. That they deserve all the bad karma in the world for that.
In the
is
NFL, you get compensation picks for that, right?
That's
Like, you
completely
get
fair.
compensatory picks for those kind of moves. Another team that probably doesn't deserve the number 1 pick is the Minnesota Timberwolves with Ben Beacon. Are you in or out? Or you think that the Timberwolves should get the number 1 pick? Or are you just okay? You got to figure out the talent you have now.
I mean, if we were talking about this 12 months ago, I'd say yes, we should get the number 1 pick. The Timberwolves had never moved up in draft lottery history until last year, but I guess it's fair to say they shouldn't get to move up 2 years in a row. But I mean, yeah, I have no expectations. I'm fully expecting this pick to go to Wes and the Warriors, 100%.
Wow.
But I mean, hey, look, if they land anywhere in the top 3, it's huge. I mean, they're going to get a player who can fit right into the starting lineup. So, I don't have any expectation for number 1. I'll take 1, 2, or 3 and be very happy with it.
Well, Ben, I've got a question for you then, because your pick is protected for 1 through 3 this year. There's a 27.6% chance that you end up getting it.
Yeah.
And then it's unprotected next year. What is the worst case scenario for Minnesota, to have it convey this year or to have it convey next year unprotected?
That's a fair question. I would think I would rather have it convey this year and just be done with it. And honestly, well, I don't know. I mean, on the other hand, we look at the D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns record with both of them on the court. It's over 500. So you figure if this team is healthy, which is always a huge if, and if things come together, whatever. I don't know. I guess I could talk myself into either scenario, but this is also such a great draft to be in the top 3. And so I'd be perfectly happy with that scenario and just deal with it next year, I guess.
Yeah, I want to dive into that Minnesota thing because it's a couple of things. One, if it doesn't convey this year, it means they got a top 3 pick in this draft. So in addition to Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, they're bringing in Kade Cunningham or Evan Mobley or Jalen Suggs. I mean, that's going to be huge. That to me is a potential playoff team next year. And so that unprotected pick in 2022 to the Warriors is likely a late lottery or not a lottery pick at all. And so I think it's a huge difference for Minnesota. They want this pick this year, and it just to me is this is the draft for them to build something really incredible. If you put Kade Cunningham and Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns together, man, I'm really liking the future in Minnesota.
Yeah, and I think that
Minnesota.
Yeah, and I think the idea of, I mean, even if they land 2 and say it's Evan Mobley, I mean, Karl Anthony Towns and Evan Mobley together in Chris Finch's offense would be unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, that's, you think of that under 25 core with Towns, Edwards, Russell, whoever they pick this year, and Jaden McDaniels. I mean, that's a starting 5 that's like you said, very likely at least in contention for a solid playoff spot next year.
And then on the flip side for the Warriors, you could argue that an unprotected pick, even if we think that Minnesota is going to be better than they were this year, next year, an unprotected pick is so scarce in today's league as a trade asset that could have more value than, say, if this thing lands at 7 or 8, right? I mean, we know it's a good draft, even in the top 7 or 8, but an unprotected pick, I mean, that's basically unheard of to have to wheel and deal between now and the upcoming trade deadline.
Chad, I already asked you about your fit or your favorite fit for Kade Cunningham, which, again, his versatility, basically a fit everywhere. Is it maybe a little bit easier for you to pick a favorite fit for the next like 2 or 3 guys in Mobley or potentially Suggs or Green, and where you'd like to see one of those guys land?
I want to see Mobley play with LaMelo Ball in Charlotte.
Oh, okay.
I just love that fit for Charlotte. I think Charlotte was one of the funnest teams to watch, but they don't really have that big guy to play with LaMelo Ball. I think that team immediately becomes must watch basketball. And I think this is the thing. This has been the Kade Cunningham draft, and I know how sort of consensus and groupthink starts to work, but it's hard to convince me that in almost every way other than position and the fact that Evan Mobley isn't the polished shooter that Kade Cunningham showed this year, that he's not just the better prospect all the way around. He does so many things well when you watch Evan Mobley play. I had one scout tell me he's a combination of Chris Bosh, which we've talked a lot about, and Anthony Davis. And I'm like, that's insane. Chris Bosh and Anthony Davis together, like that's insane. I love Kade Cunningham. I'm not off him at all, but if Evan Mobley goes number 1, you're not going to hear any complaints from me for any of these teams. That's how good I think he is. And I think we've settled into this love for the 3-and-D wing and Kade Cunningham being that guy, that we've looked over the fact that Kade Cunningham is not a great athlete, that he had a hard time necessarily sometimes creating for himself off the dribble. His assisted turnover rate was underwater at Oklahoma State. He turned the ball over more than he made assists at Oklahoma State. Those are real red flags for a prospect. And I love him, but let's not just pretend like he doesn't have warts and then ignore Evan Mobley, who's the 7-footer, who's a unicorn, who can score from anywhere on the floor and protect the rim. That those guys just don't come along every day.
Nick left us for a minute, so I'm going to do my best impression here. Joining us is Matt George from over at Locked On Kings. What you got for me, Matt?
I'm just here to take all your best offers for Buddy Hield. So we'll start with Rylan with the Thunder, and we'll just work our way through. Who wants Buddy Hield, huh? Come on. What are we hearing?
Kimball Walker? You in for Kimball Walker?
Yikes. No, hi, guys.
You can give us your pick and Kemba Walker, and we'll take them. No problem. Sold.
So
Same
at number
Buddy.
So Matt, at number 9, what are your thoughts coming into this draft? Are you optimistic at all for the Kings to jump up? Have you resigned yourself to number 9? Do you think they're going to get bumped? Like where's your head at?
Well, first off, I'd be thrilled if the Kings just stayed at 9 at this point, with all 3 of our mock drafts moving the Kings to 10, and then the Orlando Magic at 9 taking everybody that we wanted every single time.
Hey,
no,
I've only had one pick so far in our mock drafts. I'm just going to throw that out there, okay? Rylan gets my pick every single week, and it's very depressing. I'm just going to throw that out there. We're getting all the bad picks out of all the bad tankathon sims out of the way during the mock draft, so that the Rockets can walk away with Kade when the real thing happens.
Let's certainly hope so. Well, I'm in a situation too where, like, I don't know if I don't feel like the Kings deserve to move up into the top 4 because they've moved up 2 out of the last 4 drafts. Now, one got them De'Aaron Fox getting the 5th pick, which is awesome. The other one we don't have to talk about. And so staying at 9, regardless, we know that general manager Monty McNair with the Kings is going to be very, very aggressive. That's his own words, being very aggressive with this draft pick. I think if the pick stays at 9 or even falls to 10 or 11, I think there's a very, very good chance that this pick could be involved in a trade, maybe included in a package that sends Marvin Bagley or Buddy Hield or Harrison Barnes packing. I would not be surprised at all to see the Kings trade this pick.
Who would you want to see at 9 for the Kings? Obviously, we got to see how the rest of the board shakes out to get to that point, but who do you have your eyes on if the pick's there at number 9 for the Kings? And I want to hear your pick, and then I want to hear Chad's analysis of your pick.
Well, I'm going to first need Chad to stop talking up Scotty Barnes so that he can slide all the way to 9 if that's possible.
He's not making it. He's not going there. He's not going 9.
Chad, stop. Someone mute Chad for me really quick so I can continue to be blindly optimistic for the rest of the stream. No, I mean, Scotty Barnes would be an absolute home run. It's probably not going to happen. I think Moses Moody would be a phenomenal pick for the Sacramento Kings at 9 if he slid that far, although I just keep seeing him go up and up and up boards. Last I checked, I think he could be a good pick. Another one I'm interested in flirting with is Franz Wagner out of Michigan. But out of them, I'd say Moses Moody is ideal.
Chad?
I've got Franz Wagner going 9 to Sacramento in my mock. I think you talk about an analytics-driven front office. This is the analytics darling in the draft. His high steal rate and high block rate, when you put those two things together, that's one of the reasons the guys really like him. And he's not a liability on offense. He might not be a superstar on offense, and I know that there's some concerns about his jump shot and what have you, but he's a solid offensive player. But you're really drafting him because he can guard 3 positions on the floor. Moses Moody, I actually have a little bit lower. I have him actually going 15th in my mock.
Wow.
And part of it is, well, he's got this, if you saw the numbers today, he measured with like a ridiculous, like plus 7.5 or plus 8.5 wingspan, is 8 inches taller than he is barefoot, his wingspan, which is crazy. And he's a really good shooter and he's a good defender. He lacks that athletic upside that I think some teams are going to be concerned about. He's not a great athlete. He kind of got exposed in the tournament a little bit that way. And so, to me, he's more of a role player in the NBA because he will shoot, he will defend, but he doesn't have that high upside because athletically, I think he's actually a little bit below average for an NBA prospect. So 9 might be a little bit high for that.
Chad, if I could sneak in a question for you too, I'm curious what your opinion would be of the potential trade value. And I asked this of a couple of the Locked On NBA draft hosts. What is the trade value in your mind of a 9, 10, even 11 overall draft pick in this year's draft? Is it below what it normally is with this draft class, about on average, maybe higher? If the Kings were going to try to shop this draft pick, would they be better off going and taking a flyer on a Wagner if he's available?
I think they would. I think that the value is very high on the top 5 picks in this draft, like really, really high. And all of those could net you an all-star back in return. But I think that the draft for most people kind of drops off a cliff after pick 5, 6. And it's not that there isn't talented players there, but they all have such major question marks around them. And so, yeah, maybe a team that really falls in love with a player. But you know what? Sacramento's probably trying to piece together that pick. And like you said, Bagley and maybe Buddy Hield. I don't know whether that gets you more value than just scouting and finding a guy that's going to be great for your system. And I think that's what we're looking at with most of these other prospects right now. They could be good in the right system. You have to be the right fit for them. They have to develop the right way. But there's going to be some major busts going on. And it's really interesting that the other guy that could be interesting for Sacramento is Alperen Sengun, the Turkish big man who won the MVP of the Turkish league as an 18-year-old. That's unprecedented. And you'd normally think like someone like that, that's like what Luka Doncic did. And why isn't he higher? Well, he's not a great athlete. He's more of a traditional center. And this is I see the most debates among scouts about this guy. Like, the numbers don't lie. He has been awesome. The tape, look at this and say he's Jahlil Okafor.
Nick just had to reinsert himself. As soon as somebody said Luka Doncic, Nick just said, "Oh, I'm back."
Did somebody say Luka Doncic? I'm in. All right, we got the draft lottery starting to be pulled up right now. We have all the representatives on Zoom, I guess, and their places of, I don't know, wherever they're gonna Zoom. So we're starting to see some picks maybe set into stone. We'll see. Koo Cahill, haven't heard from you yet. Let's see if we got music or if we got Koo. How are you feeling? What's best and worst case tonight for the Pistons?
All right, so is my mic good?
We're good. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we
All
got
right.
Koo.
All right, so
Get it.
So I want to
Ready for
chime
the
in.
Kool-Aid.
Yes, there you go. I wanted to chime in earlier. So the team that I think least deserves number one pick is, I'm sorry, I don't know if he's in here. Yeah, he's in here still. The Timberwolves. You guys have gotten 2 first overall picks the last 6 years. You guys don't need another one. I'm sorry. And then another reason why the Pistons absolutely are the main team to deserve this number one pick. Take a guess at how many years it's been since the Pistons last had a number one pick. 51 years. And then this one too. Add this one on top of it. Guess how many times the Pistons have had their own pick move up in the lottery?
Zero times?
Since
Not
in
one
51
time.
years?
Not one time has their pick went up. They had their pick move up with Darko, but that wasn't their pick. That was, I believe, Memphis's. So their own pick that's never went up once in the history of the lottery. So I mean, damn, can we get some luck? Like once?
And the Pistons also lost Andre Drummond not too long ago.
Undeserving for signing Mason Plumlee. That's why.
There you go. But I mean, come on. This is the first year the Pistons finally commit to the rebuild, and they did tremendously well. They got the second highest odds, obviously, with the top 3 having the same odds. But you guys get what I'm saying. If they fall and don't get any kind of luck, even once they finally actually commit to it, I am going to be. I already told all my listeners for the podcast that they may be listening to like a podcast of just like complete silence, add complete silence, 8, and then add, and just that would be what it is.
Let's
Evan
go around.
Damrell. We got Woj on ESPN apparently saying the Cavs might be willing to trade their pick for a veteran to accelerate their rebuild. How do you feel about that?
Kemba Walker?
Oh, good.
Kemba Walker? Anyone?
It probably wouldn't be Kemba Walker, but I've kind of heard the same thought process. And Adrian, if you happen to be watching, please unblock me. But
John Wall?
No,
Maybe?
you are not blocked by Woj.
I am blocked by Woj, and I still don't know why. But at the same time, it makes sense why the Cavs want to kind of do this. I think Kobe Altman is going to be a bit on the hot seat. I don't think he's going to be fired outright this summer, but I do think he is going to have a shorter leash heading into next year, because I think the thought process was it's going to be 4 or 5 years post LeBron. We're about to be 4 or 5 years post LeBron, and the Cavs still are a bottom feeder in the league. They have assembled a nice core components of players, and then you have like nice tertiary pieces like Larry Nance Jr., but you have a disgruntled forward and Kevin Love. And if the Cavs were looking to get a veteran player, all like a Chris Paul, who Kobe Altman cited that the team could kind of build based upon, and if they could get a veteran who wants to be here and who can make a positive impact like Chris Paul did for Phoenix, but granted Phoenix was in a much different place than Cleveland is right now this time last year. But I understand the thought process. They want to base it off Atlanta. They want to base it off New York and Phoenix as well. Teams that are in the playoffs with a couple of nice young pieces. But I think if it's top 3, top 4, possibly Cleveland wouldn't consider trading it. But once it kind of gets a little slippery, 5, 6, 7, 9, I think that's when they really consider trading it. But just interested to see where it goes from here.
Let's go around the horn in order of like Jackson, then Ryland, then Evan. If your team gets number 2 in the draft lottery, who are you taking if it's not Kade? And then we'll have Chad go last and say who should actually go number 2.
All right. With me on the clock. Also, I'm just going to shout out really quick, bringing in Jake Madison, locked on Pels, slotting in down there. Appreciate Nick for bowing out. But I'm going to go Evan Mobley, number 2 overall. I think he's the number 2 talent in this draft. There might be a little bit of similarity there between Evan Mobley and Christian Wood, but Wood only under contract for 2 more years, 25 years old. You know, it doesn't quite mesh with the timeline of the rest of the young Houston Rockets. I mean, 25 is not old, but I really like Evan Mobley at that number 2 spot. He, to me, is the clear-cut second best player in this draft.
Yeah, so for me, my number 2 prospect on my big board is Jalen Green. I love Jalen Green. I think he's going to be a bucket getter, a top scorer in this league. Going to be awesome. But for the Thunder, Evan Mobley seems like a match made in heaven for Shea. And I think that you just pair those two guys together and have a lot of success at number 2.
I think Evan Mobley is the number 2 prospect in this draft. I think Chad mentioned if Cade Cunningham wasn't here, he'd be the consensus number 1. He has those Anthony Davis, Chris Bosh vibes to me. And I don't know if a lot of our younger viewers or listeners know Chris Bosh very well, but he was phenomenal in Toronto and even better in Miami once, especially when they put him at the 5 next to LeBron. But even if for Cleveland as well, they're a team that cannot be picky when it comes to talent. They need to take best player available. And then if they feel the same way as I do, it's Evan Mobley.
Yeah, I just want to say we're all getting pretty old if you have to say the young listeners don't know Chris Bosh. That's pretty crazy. But I'll keep it short. Jalen Green would be who I want the Pistons to get it to. I think he would slide in pretty good right next to Killian Hayes. They need someone who can go get a bucket, help Jeremy Grant take some of the load off of him on offense. I think he fits really good with Killian, Jalen Green, Jeremy Grant, Sadiq Bey, and Isaiah Stewart. I think that would be a pretty good core right there.
Why did no one say Marvin Bagley? I'm curious. Still too soon.
Oh, Ben just pieced, so I'll go.
I was going to say, Ben looked a little frozen there.
Frozen envelope, frozen screen.
I have Mobley
pick, confirmed.
I have Mobley 2 ahead of Green, like ranking the players, but as covering the team that has Miles Turner and Domantas Sabonis and Goga Bitadze already on the roster. Maybe those guys shouldn't be guys who prevent you from taking Evan Mobley, but 3 young centers already on the team. The Pacers would be big Jalen Green fans at number 2, if you ask me.
He said Goga Bitadze. Come on, you take Mobley.
I'm not. You don't not pick Mobley because of Goga. It's more of Turner and Sabonis. In the totality, you also have Goga on the team.
Matt George, who are the Kings taking?
If the Kings are at number 2, oh boy.
Yeah, they've never messed up a number 2 pick before, have they?
I just got PTSD. Oh my God.
They're taking Jonathan Kuminga at number 2. No.
Alperen Sengun at number 2. That's who the Kings are doing. No, you got to go all the way up.
It would be the Kings might trade the pick for Kevin Love or something silly. I'll probably. I think the safe pick is Evan Mobley there, although I am intrigued a little bit by Jalen Green just for the chaos of so much scoring, but probably Evan Mobley, I would say the Kings would be best to take.
Look, I think he's probably the second best prospect in there, but if the Pelicans jump up to 2, and I've asked this question a lot, I just cannot see them taking a center in any capacity with that. I think the Pels would either go for Jalen Green or Jalen Suggs, and I think they'd be thrilled with either of those 2 guys. Green looks like he's going to be a guy who could lead the league in scoring at some point, I think.
Looks like draft lottery starting. Nope.
Chad, give us the who should be the number 2 pick, if no matter who it is.
It's Evan to me, it's Evan Mobley in virtually every scenario. I gave one scenario where I thought he shouldn't be, which is Detroit, where I like Jalen Green there in Detroit. But Evan Mobley is just too good. He, like any player, he could get injured, whatever. He's just too good. He's a freak.
Seems like the envelopes have been delivered. They have been frozen. They have been weighted. They have anything that's going to happen. It's happened already.
Corners have been bent.
Let's check in. Jackson Gatlin, Locked On Rockets. How are you feeling? What's the vibe?
Terrible. I feel awful. I haven't been this nervous since watching the Rockets go 0 for 27 in Game 7 against the Warriors. Honestly, haven't felt that bad since then.
Ryland Styles, how are you feeling? What's your gut reaction right now? What are the odds? What are the ping pong balls telling you? You got Sam Presti spoke to the media a little while ago. What's he feeling? What are you feeling?
Yeah, we asked Sam straight up, are you nervous? He said, no, not at all. We're not losing anything in this lottery. We're only gaining in this lottery. He says he's not even going to watch it. He's waiting for the email of the spreadsheet, and then he's going to get to work. So that's what he says. I feel oddly good because you know what? Our representative, Naz Mohammed, in his Twitter bio, he says he's very lucky. So I'll believe him. 1 in 5. Here we come.
What do you think he brought with you? What do you think he brought with him? Oh, we can't hear Ryland anymore. Evan.
We lost Ryland.
Oh,
Jackson,
a binder full of coffee and player evaluations. He's just going to get straight to work. Brought nothing else with him.
Koo, where does the Pistons pick land? Gut reaction.
1.
Ooh.
We're keeping the positive.
Okay.
Listen. I don't know if any of you guys saw it, but I said today. Listen, I was working today. I delivered some food, and this person tipped me $0. But as I've said all day, we're keeping the positive energy going all day. So if I kept the positive energy there, we're keeping it going right now, and I'm not going off of that until we get one. I don't care.
I don't know if we're allowed to do this. We're not on TV, so maybe we can. But Koo, maybe drop the Venmo in the chat.
Hey,
We'll
Koo.
help you out.
Koo, was the dude a Pistons fan? Do you know?
What'd you say?
I said, was the dude a Pistons fan? Because that would.
Oh, it was a lady. So it is what it is. I don't know. It doesn't look like she watched any sports, but I don't know.
She's from LA.
Probably from Minnesota. Wants a third one.
Evan Damarill, are we all going to just be mad at you and boo you off the stage when the Cavs get the number 1 pick, or what are we going to do?
Well, I sure hope not, but shouts to Adrian Wojnarowski to have Cavs fans second-guessing themselves all throughout this entire process. So if this pick goes 1, my co-host Chris Manning's already grumpy. He's going to be even a grumpier fellow if people start entertaining the thought of trading 1.
I was going to say, already, yeah, he's been there. He's been grumpy. Chris Manning. Tony East, Pacers. Is this finally the year the Pacers get a top 10 pick?
No.
Very definitive.
Just no.
From the franchise that brought you Danny Granger injuries, Paul George injuries, Victor Oladipo injuries, and Domantas Sabonis injuries within the last decade, no, the bad luck will probably continue this evening. That said, seeing Nancy Leonard wearing the Pacers ABA championship ring on the show is very cool. So maybe that will bring them the luck they need.
You also have a general manager who last time he had the number 1 pick took Greg Oden over Kevin Durant. So
I actually went to a basketball skills camp with Greg Oden. Fun fact, I was that good when I was 11. And he two-ball dribbled circles around me. So I think Greg Oden should have been the number 1 pick.
Wait, was Greg Oden also 11?
He was incredible.
Mike Conley was also there. I was 11. They were both really older in high school at the time. But yeah, Mike Conley and Greg Oden, they went to high school together, and they were both there. So there's my OG Greg Oden reference. But yes, that was absolutely the wrong pick. So Chad Buchanan deserves another shot at that, right?
Yeah, he does. Look, I supported the number 1 pick. I thought Greg Oden was the right guy to select number 1. He was incredible. The only thing that I didn't get to see was the medical report, and I'm just wondering what it was, because a lot of NBA teams were concerned about that coming into the draft. The Blazers said they went over everything with a fine-tooth comb, and then you see what happens. But this is the crazy thing about all this. I just was thinking, we're watching the playoffs, for example, and players are dropping like flies. They're getting injured, and then teams want to blow up rosters afterwards. Like, what are the Jazz if Mike Conley's healthy for that whole series? You could go through the list over and over again, and it's the same with these draft prospects. I mean, we hold so much hope around these guys, and there's just so many things that can go wrong. And then there's these strange things that just go right, like Trey Mann suddenly, going off for 39 points and shooting more threes in a game than, he shot like his whole sophomore year at Florida State. Like it's a crazy, it's a crazy thing. And that's what I love about the draft, is because, there's so much hope in the room. But, does anybody know here when the last time a player who was drafted number 1 by his team actually led his team to a championship?
Does it count?
Does LeBron count?
Yes, as I said, does LeBron count? Because he came back after 4 years of college in Miami.
Okay, so LeBron was
the first guy I thought
of. So we got to go all the way back to 2003, and LeBron maybe counts with an asterisk, right? He leaves and comes back. Who is it after that?
Hakeem?
Wait,
Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan.
Hakeem or Tim Duncan, right?
Oh,
yeah, Tim Duncan.
Yeah, Tim Duncan, and then before that,
maybe
got to be Hakeem. Yeah.
So think about all this irrational exuberance we all have. This guy is going to be the guy that's going to, change. We're going to win number 1. We're going to win a championship. And history tells us that, like, in the last 30 years, that's happened like 3 times.
Well, given that one of those times it happened for the Rockets.
Doesn't happen.
No, given that one of those times it happened for the Rockets with Hakeem Olajuwon, who is the representative for the Rockets tonight, I have a good feeling about the number 1 overall pick and Cade Cunningham leading the Rockets back to the promised land. I'm just going to throw that one out there.
All right.
Now, Ben, we got Ben back in here. It looks like Ben. Are you unfrozen this time? Unfrozen unlike the frozen envelopes.
I am. Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
We're
so
good.
give us your gut feeling. What happens with the Wolves pick?
Actually, this is weird. I actually feel okay about it. I've never felt okay about a lottery going into this as a Timberwolves fan ever. But last year was weird, and so I don't know. Anthony Edwards is the representative. He's got good vibes. Everybody feels good about Anthony Edwards. So I don't know. I don't think it's number one, but maybe it's 2 or 3.
Okay,
Trying to keep low expectations, but still.
All right, well, we'll take that. I mean, it feels a little bit like one of those neither here nor there answers, but I guess that's better than than being, I guess, not optimistic about it. So we'll take it. Jake, we didn't get your instant reaction. How are you feeling? Do the Pels jump up to number 1? Does Zion need more help?
Yeah, I think it's very clear that Zion needs more help, not just on the coaching staff, maybe in the front office too, some players as well. So yes, I think that is definitely a very safe thing to say. I feel good. Called the voodoo doctor the other day to see how they were feeling about all of this here in New Orleans. So we put a little hex on, I guess, the lottery balls here to make it happen. The Pels totally deserve this, right? Again.
All right. Well, here we go. We're getting the announcements coming out live right now.
All right.
Mark Tatum.
I can't breathe. I'm not joking. I can't breathe.
I say his name once a year, so it's good to be reminded of his first name.
One
being
down.
Mark.
Golden State Warriors, number 14.
Oh, Wes, I'm so sorry.
Just show me the Pacers envelope, and I will see you guys another time.
It's owning.
There it is. All right. Pacers
Have a good
13.
one,
Now I'm
Tony.
shaking. Now I'm shaking.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right, there we go.
All right, this is getting intense now.
Spurs number 12 pick.
Yep.
Everything's
So
going
it's all
chalk
chalk.
so far. Nobody's jumped up so far.
This is
Charlotte
definitely
Hornets,
a
number
circus
11.
somewhere.
Chalk. New Orleans, we're still chalk.
Oh, whose stream is the fastest? We get to find that out.
New
right
Orleans,
now.
number 10.
Come on.
New Orleans is 10.
Got it. I got the fast stream.
We're not going to get 10. That's a win.
Kings at 9.
Ryland's stream is the fastest.
Oh, man. I don't like that. No, that's not fair to
poor
me.
Swin Cash. I just saw Swin Cash look dejected.
Just dejected there.
Kings
We're still
chalk.
chalk. Orlando at 8.
Oh, that's the Chicago pick, right?
Magic at number 8 via Chicago. Yeah.
Jeff Weltman with the AirPods. Nice. Why did they have to put Mark Eversley for the general manager of the Bulls on there and lose his pick and they put him on TV?
Whoa.
The Raptors leap to the top 4.
Toronto Raptors jump to the top
Raptors
4.
are
Of course,
Yeah.
they're going to get the number 1 pick, and Sean Woodley's doing his own stream over at Locked On Raptors. For a good cause, though. Go check out at Locked On Raptors.
Oof. Oof.
It's over,
Oof.
boys.
Oof.
Over.
Oh, Koo's gone.
Oof.
OKC.
Come on.
Congratulations, Jackson.
Yeah, Cleveland's right?
Yeah.
Congratulations, Jackson.
Oh, Jackson, the Rockets keep the pick.
Yes.
Jackson's
oh, no,
career
Nick, my heart's gonna
continues.
be broken.
And the Magic at number 5. So, we know
Oh my
for
God.
sure. We know for sure that it's going to be Raptors, Cavs, Pistons, and
Let's
Rockets
go.
in the top
Oh
4.
my god.
Let's go.
Oh my
The
god.
Cleveland Cavaliers could be booed off the stage.
Wait, what's the, can you say
Raptors
what's the
is
top
who
4
everyone
again?
wants, right? It's
What's
going
the
to be
top 4 again?
Raptors, Rockets, Pistons, and Cavs.
Anything but Rockets. Anything but Rockets.
No.
Wait, so I
it's
have a-
got to be Rockets. No, it's happening. Just
Get 'em out of
let
the
it
way.
happen.
I got a question. Did the Thunder, did that whole scenario with the Thunder, did the Thunder keep one of their picks or no? The Rockets one? No?
Yeah. No, the Rockets are in the
The
top
Thunder
4.
get
So
16 and 18.
Okay.
Who's going to give us the best Knicks fan reaction here when
man.
their team doesn't
Bro.
land number 1 overall here?
I think everyone's pretty happy now. Like, Jackson kept the pick. He's fine no matter
I'm
what.
not. No.
I'm down bad. I'm down bad.
No, I don't think you guys understand. My heart is racing. I can't breathe
Dude,
right now.
Koo, I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there.
Wait, can we?
Look.
Can we pull back the curtain and say what happened in the chat while right before the lottery? Koo's television is in a different room, and your girlfriend is FaceTiming you the TV from the other room.
A Locked On production.
That is dedication right there.
Bro.
That is a broadcast only the Locked On Podcast Network can bring you.
Listen,
The Athletic isn't doing this.
Listen,
That's true.
When I saw that whatever team it was, I forget what it was. When we saw that the Raptors officially in the top 4, that's when you saw my head drop. I was like, oh my God, the Pistons are going to get 5. They're going to get 5 or 6. This is going to happen. My heart has never raced this bad in my life. I have went through cuts in high school for basketball year after year, and my heart has not raced ever like this before in my life. Not once.
Real quick to my Rockets fans who are watching this stream right now, of the 400, I'm just going to assume a big chunk of those are Rockets fans. Guys, we did it. They kept the pick.
We did it.
We did it. Okay, look, we've been manifesting good energy all month. Okay, I don't want to hear it. Like they kept the pick, and that's all that matters, right? If it's number 4 overall, so be it. But like, oh man, I just wanted to shout out, Clutch City on this one.
This is really fascinating to me. I have no dog in this fight.
If it's on, turn it on.
So I've never
Turn
been
it on,
around
look at the
people
TV.
that are so nervous about this. This is amazing.
Okay.
Chad, I need some help here. Tell me something good that we can trade pick 6, 16, 18 for Kade or something like that. Just tell me something good.
Chad, tell me something good.
16, 18, and 5. Is that what you're at now?
6, 16, and 18. Just what can I get for that?
16 and 8. Oh, 6 is. Hey, maybe that's going to be. Maybe that's how Scotty Barnes slides to 6. Then that's the best. That's a great case scenario for OKC. That's a guy I think they would have taken 3. Just looking at the 4 teams that are up there: Raptors, Rockets, Pistons, Cavs. I don't see Scotty Barnes going to the Pistons. Who knows what the Rockets are going to do? What are the Rockets going to do? Who knows?
It depends.
I don't see the Raptors. Masai's a Jonathan Kuminga guy, so that's going to be sort of interesting. What happens there? Maybe you'll get Scotty Barnes, and it'll feel like you had a top 3 pick.
We're gonna say goodbye to Ben Beacon because you don't have a pick, so I don't know what's.
It took you long enough to catch on to that.
I'm really glad I'm not Ben Beacon right now.
Was gonna call that out. Yeah, I was gonna see how long I could hang on.
I'm gonna take out Ben Beacon and
guys.
replace him with somebody with the pick.
Oh man. Hey, hey Nick, you don't have a pick. What are you doing here, man?
I'm making this show work. Jackson Gatlin. Wes Goldberg, it went chalk. You all right?
Yeah, I mean, that was the most realistic scenario. I don't think if you were hoping for anything other than that, I mean, look, you had a 0.5% chance of getting the number 1 pick if you're the Warriors. I think you're just happy with getting the Minnesota pick, right? I mean, now you've got 2 picks. You've got 7 and number 14 to maybe use on some players, maybe wheel and deal on some trades. I mean, if you're Bob Myers, you don't really have a lot of different things. You're pretty much capped out. You have a mid-level exception. You have these 2 draft picks. Those are your tools now to supplement this roster around Steph Curry.
If you had to guess, do 2 rookies go into camp, or are they going to take these and package them for something else?
If I had to put like $1 on it, I'd say that you end up.
$1?
I didn't even put $2
American
on
dollars.
this.
Yeah,
That's big time money for me.
Look, that's all the Warriors can spare because they're paying so much in payroll. Okay.
That's right. And I think that dollar cost them like $7 technically with the luxury tax. So.
Only if Kelly Oubre spends it, right?
Right. Yeah, I think they end up with 2 rookies going into camp. I just don't know what the other options are, right? Like you could try to trade these players. It's a little complicated. You have to sign them and wait 30 days in order to trade them for some veterans. But that'd be the only way to move them for a veteran because they don't really have any other salaries. You get past like these $30 million contracts and you look at Kevon Looney making $5 million and he's your starting center. So I don't know that there's like that many things that you could attach these picks to in order to actually move and acquire a veteran who could be helpful to Steph and Draymond and Clay. So I'm not saying it's not going to happen. It's not impossible. But if I had to put some money on it, I'd say, yeah, they probably end up rolling into camp with 2 rookies.
We're about to find out the order of the top 4. It's Rockets, Pistons, Cavs, Raptors in some order, but those are going to be the top 4 teams. By the way, the Locked On NBA podcast channel and network will be doing a live draft show, so join us back here. Subscribe to the Locked On NBA YouTube channel. Koo has left the building. Koo is running around like crazy waiting for the Pistons. It's between the Rockets, the Pistons, and the Cavs.
R4.
Cavs
Oh my
then
God,
are-
we just got first. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. The Pistons
He
just
is
got, oh my
way
God.
ahead.
Oh my God, bro. Oh my God. I can't
Congrats,
breathe. Oh my
Koo.
God.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't. Oh my
Congrats,
God. Oh my
Koo.
God, we did it, bro. I'll be right back. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Congratulations.
Emotion
He wanted to
at its
leave and
finest
couldn't have
from
this
Koo
instant
Cahill.
reaction on here.
Oh, that was gold. That was worth it just for Koo's reaction. His girlfriend coming in to congratulate him. Chad Ford, what does this mean? Pistons get the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I think they'll take Kade Cunningham, and I think they finally got that star
Spoiler.
to build around. I think he's going to be awesome there, and I know some people look and say, "Hey, Sadiq Bey's there," and there's some similarities in game, but I just think Kade Cunningham is a much better overall prospect, and they'll figure out how to make it work. But that's just great news. I think that probably means that you're going to see Evan Mobley in Houston right now, and then let's see who's got the 3rd pick in the draft. Cleveland at 3rd. That's going to be interesting because they want that big in their wings. That'll be interesting what they do because they're kind of loaded with guards.
I think they're gonna go Jalen Green. You go BPA. I think because the Cavs are a team that cannot be too picky when it comes to talent, and they're not at that point right now. At least I don't think.
We still have no eye. We have no eyes on Koo. He just completely left. He's gone.
He's running around outside. He's happy. He's joyous. He's gonna go grab a Michelob Ultra.
Wait,
Like-
can we see? We can maybe see outside his window there. Can we look to,
Yeah.
to try and check?
Oh,
To see
there
if
he's back. He's
if
back.
He's running. Koo, how far did you go? How far did you run before you decided to come back?
I just need to let you guys know.
I love it.
I just need to let you guys know that on Twitter today, I said that if the Pistons got the 1st overall pick, I would have to shave my face. Now, I did not think I was
do
going to have
it live. Where's the cream? Bring out
Right
the
now,
shaving
right now,
cream.
let's go.
Yeah.
I had to go out there and celebrate with my fiance. Thank her for being with me all these years, man. And I had
It's a real one.
I had to go join. My Pistons fellowmen on the green room and let them know we did it. But oh my God, dude, I can't. I still can't. I can't believe we just did this. Oh my God. I'll mute my mic. I'm sorry. Oh my God.
I forget it. We said the Raptors would be the best pick. Pistons, by far the best team to get the number 1 pick.
I'm stunned he came back on with like clothes on like that after like running around like that.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Jackson, number 2 overall pick. You kept the pick, number 2. Evan Mobley. You talked a little bit about how there'd be potential. Christian Wood and Evan Mobley. Can you get both of those guys? Are you feeling Evan Mobley still?
I am. And I do think that there's, again, maybe a little bit of redundancy there with Christian Wood and Evan Mobley, but I do think that, Evan Mobley is a guy who can still slot in alongside Christian Wood, find a lot of success with those two guys. And I think, again, clear-cut Evan Mobley, the 2nd best prospect in this draft. That is huge for the Houston Rockets to walk away after dealing with, moving on from their franchise player. Yes, it would have been, we were down to the wire, and Kade Cunningham would have been an amazing prize to win after, dealing with the start that James Harden gave the Rockets this season, forcing his way to the Brooklyn Nets, and then coming up short in the 2nd round of the playoffs due to the plethora of injuries for the Nets. But look, walking away with Evan Mobley, he's an exciting prospect, a unicorn big who has a very, very bright future in the NBA. And I'm excited that it's going to be with the Houston Rockets. If they go that way, I'm really feeling that they're going to go that way. If they surprise me, if Rafael goes with Suggs or Green, I will be taken aback, but I'll also be excited for those guys. I'm feeling Evan Mobley, though.
Let's go ahead and do a quick mock draft with Chad Ford. You've already said number 1, Kade Cunningham. Number 2, the Houston Rockets. You still think Evan Mobley?
I do. I've got Cavs, Jalen Green at 3, Raptors, Scotty Barnes at 4. That could be Kuminga. I could see both of those picks there. And then that leaves the Magic at 5 with Jalen Suggs and the Thunder with Jonathan Kuminga at 6.
Rylan, Jonathan Kuminga in Chad Ford's first little impromptu mock draft. How are you feeling about that?
Very impromptu.
Hey, I'm higher on Kuminga than most people. I think that shot can translate to the NBA and get better in the NBA. I think that if any team can develop him, it's the Thunder with their track record. I'd be pretty happy with that, all things considered. But I do not expect Presti to stay at 6. I think he's going to try to trade up.
Jake Madison, Wes Goldberg, any other thoughts, draft thoughts, lottery thoughts? Want to send some love to the Pistons for their number 1 pick? Wait,
no, I'm happy for Koo here.
Jake Madison, Zion Williamson was just drafted to the Pelicans. Any advice for Pistons fans? How do you deal with a number 1 pick like this? How do you cover him? All that kind of stuff.
Don't hire Stan Van Gundy. Would probably be a good start, but given it's the Pistons, I don't think you need to worry about that a little bit too much. But also, anyone got trade offers on the 10th pick here?
Are we doing trades already? Matt George, you came in hot with the trades. Any
He's going to offer Buddy Hield.
Yeah. So here, you take Buddy Hield. We'll take the 10 pick, and we'll go from there. That's a starting point, Jake.
We can figure that out. Look, I got a wonderful guy in Eric Bledsoe who could get moved and fill some salary.
Oh, I'm sorry, you broke up there. I didn't hear that last part.
I don't want to be here.
Hey, everybody, I got to go. It was a blast. Really appreciate hanging out with you. Koo, that was the best reaction I've ever seen to Sunday win draft lottery.
You don't understand.
I'm really
oh, my God.
Shoot, I'm happy for Koo. I was right there, and I was like, as Koo's reaction made it worth it. I'm like, look, Kade to the Pistons. Let's do it. Like, absolutely well-deserved.
All right.
Thank you, Chad Ford. Thank you.
See you guys on draft night. All right, bye-bye.
See you.
Koo Cahill, have you kind of collected your thoughts a little bit here?
No, my heart is still racing. I can't breathe. Listen, I said, I don't know if you guys know this, but Ben Wallace was representing us tonight. I tweeted out this funny meme saying that there was no way that on God's green earth that he would be able to tell Ben Wallace, 6'9", big as hell, telling him you're not getting the first round pick. I didn't think it was going to work, but it's worked. We need to get that live reaction because I have to. That, oh my God, dude! I seriously can't breathe. I can't believe this has worked. I can't. Oh my goodness, man!
It was amazing. Okay, walk me through a little bit. Cade Cunningham with some of the guys you got now: Killian Hayes, Jeremy Grant. How are you feeling about this team, covering this team going into next year?
Look, so I've been saying on the podcast for the longest, man, that this is like what we've been waiting for to like really get the ball rolling on content and like things to like really dive into stuff. Man, I was legit only hoping to get like top 3s, hopefully get Jalen Green, and then we could dive into that. But Cade Cunningham is going to, and I've kind of hinted at this already, it's going to accelerate the hell out of this rebuild. I think a lot of people clowned the Pistons for this Jeremy Grant signing last year, and I think he proved them wrong as the year went on. And the whole thing that went into that is if you can get like your 1, 2, or 3 guy from the get-go in the beginning of your rebuild, it makes it a lot easier because I mean, you can look at the playoffs right now with the Pistons. You see a bunch of former Pistons because the Pistons did a really good job at getting a bunch of 4, 5, 6 guys on their team, but they never were able to get like a 1, 2, 3 guy on their team. So Jeremy Grant hopefully is figured to be like their 2 or 3. They got him off the bat. Even with Jeremy Grant developing him and giving him his chance to shine throughout the year and developing Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, Killian Hayes throughout last year, even while doing all of that, they are able to succeed with the tank, develop and tank to get the second best odds. And now they got Cade, who figures to be that guy. So now the Pistons they've done skipped the hardest part. If Cade is going to be the guy that that everyone thinks he's going to be, they've done the hardest part. They already have gotten a pretty good core with Killian, Stu, and Sadiq. Then you got him his crime partner with Jeremy Grant. And then you also add on to the fact that Troy Weaver's done a great job at assembling a bunch of treasure assets with Frank Jackson, Josh Jackson.
Beef Stu.
Yeah, Stu. Mason Plumlee's on a decent contract that can be moved. There's all kinds of different pieces on this team now to where you have a core, and now you can literally a rebuild that was looking like 3 to 5 years. We may be talking like 2 or 3 years.
Koo Cahill, Locked On Pistons. Say less.
I'm hyped. I can't
Sean
wait.
Whitley, Locked On Raptors. How are you
What's
feeling?
up?
Welcome in.
How's it going?
How are you feeling about your Raptors?
Pretty good, man. I was like mostly just thrilled when they didn't come up 8th or 9th. And then to see they come up to 4th and to also be picking behind the Rockets and Cavs, who I absolutely trust to screw up their picks and have a 4th guy follow them at 4 is hi Jackson. It's pretty nice. I mean, after the Tampa season, after the hell that it was, it's really cool to kind of get this nice karmic turnaround. They just kind of dealt with everything they could have between, playing in Tampa, not playing home games, having, Boston Celtics fans scream for Taco Fall to play while booing the Raptors in home games. Like, it was just a nightmare. So much to the point that they just stopped bringing fans to the games after a while because they were getting booed by everybody. And so to have that, they get COVID in March and go 1-13. It's a pretty cool little turnaround here. And the nice thing about the Raptors is they're in a position where they can do a bunch of stuff with this pick. They can just take the best guy on the board. Whoever falls to 4 between Suggs, Green, and Mobley, whoever that is going to fill a need. Their two big needs are they need a scoring 2-guard or a ball dominant guard to pair with Fred VanVleet, and they need a center. And whoever ends up falling to them, it's going to be a nice fit, like right out of the gate. Or if they want, they can use this pick now to go see what's going on with Bradley Beal, perhaps, and maybe see if they can make that happen. I wouldn't count out Masai Ujiri from making all of the calls with this pick and seeing what he can do, because there's like a ready-made core here, right? There's 3 guys who are locked in who are guys with championship pedigree in VanVleet, Siakam, and Anunoby. And Anunoby looks like he's primed for like a legitimate breakout next year after his finish to this season. And if you can find like an established guy who's kind of a similar age, Beal, I think, is 28, VanVleet and Siakam are 27, OG's 24. You can get a guy who's kind of a little bit more ready than maybe a Jalen Green or a Jalen Suggs would be right out of the gate. I think the Raptors will look into that. Obviously, it takes 2 to tango in any trade negotiation, but it's pretty awesome, man. I gotta say, I was a person who was like, they should try to make the playoffs. They're good. The playoffs are fun. The lottery is sad. I'm a lottery boy forever now. I hope the Raptors never make the playoffs again. That was very, very fun.
You condone tanking now. You're in on tanking.
Pro tanking, yes.
We've got the process Raptors with Steady Freddy bringing the good luck.
Well, the process Thunder right now down bad a little bit after tanking.
Yeah, this sucks. I mean, it was only half a year of tanking. Had the Clippers not tried to avoid the Lakers, by the way, we wouldn't be in this predicament because they out-tanked the Thunder the last game of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is pretty bad. I mean, to go into the night having like a 70% chance of being a top 5 pick and then to get 0, sucks. Sucks to say the least. But
Rylan, you still have a mountain of picks thanks to Sam Presti.
And still control the Rockets' future.
No,
Rylan,
it's not nearly as bad now because by the time those other picks come around, the Rockets aren't going to be bottom of the barrel anymore.
So what turns into this? So if the pick would have gone outside of the top 4, it would have gone to the Thunder. So what happens to that pick now?
So the pick just stays. It was just a 1-year protected, like that's it. And so had it dropped to number 5, it would have conveyed.
The Thunder now convey Miami's pick. It was a 3-team swap between us,
there we go,
Houston, and Miami. So if Houston didn't get their pick, they would have gotten Miami's, and now the Thunder get theirs and Miami. So the Thunder have 6, 16, and 18.
There we go.
Cool.
You can tell that Ryan and I have studied this exclusively over the last month and a half. Actually, really over the last year. So.
Rylan, I have a question for you. I've been kicking around this idea in my head. This is what I call a locker room or a Spotify green room take. I don't put it on the podcast. I just keep it in the rooms with the small amount of people. But I'm just curious. Sam Presti loves himself some picks. You didn't get a top 5 pick in this very, very good draft. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is up for an extension. The Thunder don't seem like they're hell-bent on winning anytime soon. The Raptors come to Sam Presti and say, we'll give you number 4. We'll give you a first next year, and we'll give you, Malachi Flynn or something like that for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Do you say yes if you're Sam Presti?
Yeah, the Thunder are in a tough spot here now because Shai is quickly fading away from the timeline because you got to extend him this offseason. And then you have to think, you got to tank next year now because number 1, the Thunder's pick is owed to Atlanta unless it's a lottery pick. So you might as well tank because you got to keep your pick. Yep. It's another year put behind the 8 ball. Then let's say that you do win the lottery next year. You get your top guy next year. They're not going to be good right away. They're still going to be very young and not close out games and lose a lot. And then you're hoping to get to the playoffs. And we all know the growing pains that go with a playoff team. So Shai's quickly now, because of the events of tonight, falling out of the timeline of Oklahoma City. And I think that it's something you have to consider, especially if you're not taking away the 6th pick. If you're going to do it for a future pick for Shai and the Thunder get 4, 6, 16, and 18 to consolidate, I think that they'd have to really consider that.
Well, that is my cue to leave. That's all we needed to hear. Guys, I'm going to pop out, but thanks for having me on.
Sean Woodley, Locked On Raptors. Go listen to him and his top 4 pick now, right? What's he got?
Hell yeah.
4. Number 4. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this draft board we got now. Pistons, number 1 pick. It's real,
so
Coop.
beautiful. It's
real.
It's
Rockets.
so beautiful.
Now let's do a little impromptu mock draft between us. So, Coop, take away the first pick. Who are you taking number 1?
Fade for Kade. We faded for Kade.
You faded already. The fade has happened. Jackson, number 2, who are you taking for Houston?
Look, we had the Rockets' legendary big man, Hakeem Olajuwon, there repping us. We're going to take another legendary big man. We are manifesting it. Evan Mobley coming to Houston.
You couldn't get Chris Bosh years ago. Now you get Chris Bosh plus Anthony Davis.
Hey, we tried to have a Chris Bosh upvote party all those years ago on like the Rockets subreddit. Now we're gonna have an Evan Mobley upvote party. It's gonna be great.
Who are the Cavs taking number 3? Let's go, Rylan. Who are you thinking?
I'm sure that they're going to go with a guard, but that's a tough sell. I mean, I would assume they'd go with Suggs.
In the chat, let us know, who do you think Cleveland's taking number 2 if Kade and Mobley are off the board? Who are the Cavs taking at number 3?
Yeah, we're letting the chat pick this one. Also, Nick, it was very mean of you to make Rylan make that 3rd overall selection when the Thunder didn't get a top 5 pick. That's just mean, man.
And
That's just salt in the wound.
He just knows the draft better.
The Thunder won the coin flip, and then Cleveland gets a better pick.
Oh,
tough scene.
A lot of people are saying Green in the chat, but the coin flip means nothing now, right?
Yeah, coin flip's done.
Yeah.
I think didn't the Mavs win a coin flip a couple years ago and they didn't move up, and the Pelicans moved up to get Zion too? So the coin flip means nothing. You actually want to lose the coin flip.
The Kings lost the coin flip the year they moved up to 2.
Lose the coin. This is what we've discovered. Lose the coin flip. Lose the coin flip. Let's see if they take Jalen Green. Everybody in the chat saying Jalen Green. So Jalen Green goes number 3. Toronto. Who is Toronto taking? Chat. Who should Toronto take with the 4th overall pick? And we'll open it up to anybody in the stream too.
I think it's got to be Jalen Suggs. Right? I mean, that's what Sean was highlighting, right? Is the fact that they need a guard to place next to Fred VanVleet, or they need a center, and Mobley's off the board, Green's off the board, and I think Suggs remains as the guy who is, clear cut, kind of one notch above the next set of guys in Jonathan Kuminga and Scotty Barnes. So yeah,
right,
chat saying Suggs too.
Everybody in the chat saying Suggs. Kukahill, thanks so much for joining us. A legendary night in Locked On NBA streaming history.
I'll see you guys later, man.
Congrats, Koo.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's been a long time.
Koo is leaving, but we're bringing in our draft expert, Rafael Barlow, Locked On NBA Draft Junkies. Rafael, what are your thoughts? The Pistons get the number 1 pick.
I thought it was going to go Houston. I didn't think I didn't think Houston would lose it. I mean, they worked hard for that pick, but yeah, me and Jackson had talked about it. I felt like it was a lock for them to have the number 1 pick, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting because if I'm Houston, I don't know if I want to pair Mobley and Christian Wood. I think I would go point guard. I think I may go with a point guard if I'm the Rockets.
See, Raphael and I we're on different ends of the spectrum here, because I think it's still Evan Mobley. I still think he is the target for the Rockets, and because they view Kevin Porter Jr. as their guard of the future. They brought him over from Cleveland. They put the ball in his hands. They said, "Here's the keys to the offense. You steer the ship. You do everything." Everything points towards that direction, that they view him as the orchestrator of their offense moving forward. And the moment they put the ball in his hands, his, assist numbers skyrocketed, his playmaking, the court vision, you can see it all in the works. And it's only going to get better as he has, a full offseason to prep, to understand his role, to start with a formal training camp, all of that. And now that he's got another big man target potentially in Evan Mobley, a Twin Towers lineup of Christian Wood, Evan Mobley to throw lobs to make plays for, really excited about that for the Rockets.
See, the reason I'm kind of skeptical is, I'm a big Kevin Porter Jr. fan. I think his talent is off the charts. I would just be a little worried about fully giving him the keys and totally building around him. That would be my concern.
I think those are warranted concerns. We've only seen half a season, less than 30 games of Kevin Porter Jr., right? Yeah. We don't know what the future is going to hold for him. The potential is clearly there. And then there's obviously some questions surrounding what do the Rockets do with John Wall? What do they do with Eric Gordon? They've got some guys under contract, that are kind of remnants from before the rebuild kind of truly started. Yep. And I think that's the next big question is now that the Rockets retain their pick is what do they do with John Wall? Does this expedite John Wall's departure from Houston so that they can potentially, if they want to, give the keys to Kevin Porter Jr. full time? Or do they hold on to John Wall? And they're just like, you know what? They're going to coexist on the court, Wall, KPJ starting backcourt, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you got to get Wall out of there. He doesn't fit the timeline.
Not at all.
Same with Gordon.
Are you saying to not build the wall? Is that what?
that is great. That is a great play on words.
Everybody's trying to build a wall in Texas. Houston Rockets fans do not want that.
Nope.
Raphael, let's go really quick with you. Let's go through a little very impromptu mock draft here. The Detroit Pistons, number 1. Is it obvious?
Yep, Kate.
Number 2, Houston Rockets.
Well, I just said Jalen Suggs, so I'm going to stick with it.
Jalen Suggs going number 2. All right, that leaves Cleveland number 3.
This is tough. You got, Evan Mobley.
Mobley going to Cleveland. They get another talented guy. Toronto Raptors, number 4.
Jalen Green.
Jalen Green available for him there. That one's pretty easy. Him and Van Vliet in the backcourt, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Orlando at number 5.
Kuminga, who I had them taking on my last mock. I think they have just a ridiculous amount of guards and 2 centers and still have Jonathan Isaac. So Kuminga makes the most sense there.
Is this a 5-player only draft? I feel like that's what a lot of people are saying.
I think so. Scotty Barnes is right outside the top 5, but he has some glaring weaknesses also. So for the most part, 5. If there's anybody that I feel like may jump into the top 5, if one of these guys falls out, it will be Barnes.
Is that who goes to number 6 to the Oklahoma City Thunder?
Yeah, which him and Pokashevsky play the same position, I guess, unless they want to play. I don't know.
Poku has no position. He's just a great basketball player.
Yeah,
his position is fun to watch.
That I agree with. That I agree with. And I'm a big Poku fan because I feel like I was there for his coming out party in 2018 at the under 18s. And this is back when nobody really heard of him, man. And I was there for the big game that put him on the map. He had like a triple-double. And so yeah, he's definitely the fan favorite there, seems like it.
How old was Poku then when you saw him in 2018?
It was 2019. He was under 18, so he was probably 17, maybe.
What does a 17-year-old Poku look like?
The same way he does now. The same exact way he does now.
Let's go a couple more picks. Scotty Barnes goes 6 to Oklahoma City. Who goes 7 to the Warriors?
Man, this is a good value pick for them with Davion Mitchell. I think this would be an ideal fit for them. They get their defender. They get another guard. If the shooting translates, then it's just a perfect fit. They're in a good position if they decide to keep the picks. Either way, they're still fine, but I don't know if they're going to bring in 2 rookies.
Number 8, the Orlando Magic, their second pick here now.
This is Jalen Johnson. There's going to be a lot of redundancy on that roster.
They got a lot of everything, though, it feels like, right? Like, they got a couple guards, they got a couple bigs, they got a bunch of random wings.
Yeah, a bunch of guys that were just drafted between 2018 and 21.
Yeah.
So
they got to do, like, some kind of battle royale or, like, something. Figure out who's going to come out for them. All right, any more picks? Which of these teams really intrigues you in their position? You talked about Golden State a little bit. Any others stick out to you?
Yeah, the Warriors with 2 picks at 7 and 14. I think if they're looking to move those picks, I think they can get some value there. The Kings, what they do with their pick right now, have them selecting Moses Moody, which would probably free up Harrison Barnes, so I think would be a good value player for another team. I think some people in Dallas want him back, surprisingly.
It's a very weird situation what's happened right now.
Yep. The Pelicans, what they do, I have them taking Book Knight, who, well, if he is 6'3", like the measurement showed, that may hurt his draft stock. And if Sharif Cooper is 6'3", like the measurement showed, then that could move him up into maybe the back end of the lottery. I thought he was going to be like 5'11", but it has to be a mistake.
Who would you say for the Kings? Moses Moody? Matt
Yep.
George, how are you feeling about that?
I like the Moody pick a lot. I know Chad Ford was a big fan of Franz Wagner as well at that 9 spot. That's what he had at his mock. I still gut feeling that I cannot shake is that this pick is going to get moved. I think the Kings are in a win now mode, and while I do believe Moody or Wagner could help with that, the goal and jobs are on the line if the Kings aren't in the playoffs next season. So I would not be surprised at all to see the Kings try and use this pick as bait to try and sweeten a Buddy Hield or Marvin Bagley or maybe both type trade package to hopefully go out and get a piece or two that this team needs. I don't think they're going to be getting any kind of fringe star or all-star talent that maybe they're hoping for with this pick and any one of those guys. But being able to go out and get a veteran or two that can help fill some of the gaping holes that this team has, especially when it comes to two-way players and physicality, I still think that's the most likely scenario.
Well, I think Buddy Hield would love to be in Dallas. I mean, I see him here all the time. He lives here during the off season. So I think he would love that. Maybe, I don't know. I'm kind of joking here, but Porzingis for Buddy Hield and Bagley.
We've actually talked about that. Nick was on Locked On Kings talking about that very thing, which it's funny. The Kings and really Kings fans are not in a position to roll their eyes at anybody. It's not like it can get much worse than 15 straight freaking playoffless seasons, going for the record 16 next year. But at the same time, too, I know the Kings are hopeful to stock themselves up with talent that is not injury riddled, or at least has an injury riddled history like many of their players currently do. So we'll see. I don't know. All we know is the Kings are going to be aggressive on draft night, whether that means trading the pick or landing Moody or Wagner, or some people say Corey Kispert, even though I got screamed at when I made that selection in one of the mock drafts at number 10. We'll see what the Kings do.
What do you think about the whole Ben Simmons? Would you give up Halliburton and someone else for him?
No, Halliburton, I would not give up Halliburton for Ben Simmons. And that's not like a scoff at Ben Simmons type thing. It's just I think what Halliburton and Fox and what they're trying to do here in Sacramento, it makes sense, and they fit really well. I think they're really pleased with that. I could see the Kings' best offer being a Buddy Hield, DeLon Wright in this pick, or Buddy Hield, Marvin Bagley in this pick. I don't know if that gets the job done for the Philadelphia 76ers. I know Simmons' value is low right now, but Simmons is a name that I expect the Kings to be involved in trade talks, especially with the connection in the past between McNair and Daryl Morey. So I would not be surprised if they're involved in rumors there. I would not be surprised if the Kings are making phone calls about Domantas Sabonis or Miles Turner in Indiana. They're keeping their eye out. I even had a conversation with Sean Woodley about the possibility and availability of Pascal Siakam, which he shot down pretty quickly, but still, that's what the Sacramento Kings are going to be doing. They're going to be sitting in the bushes with a pair of binoculars looking for any sort of unhappiness with a fringe star, and are going to try and throw Buddy Hield at him and say, hey, please, here's Marvin Bagley. He could be good. Take him.
Yeah. It's sitting in the bushes. Rafael Barlow, any other final thoughts on the draft and how it shook out?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel bad for Chicago, which we didn't think that they were going to keep their pick. And then if you're a Thunder fan, you were just hoping that you were going to to get the Rockets pick, which would have gave Sam Presti just too many more options to have. But, for the most part, it went as predicted, except Toronto moving up in the top 4. So now the real work starts.
Rylan Stiles, this is kind of like a debate where if your team gets called out, you get to talk next. So, Rylan, any parting thoughts about the Thunder and what could have been an incredible euphoric night that turned into just like an okay one?
I'm already watching Amani Bates highlights. We're on to next year's camp. Let's do this all over again. I'm down bad right now. I feel like a Kings fan.
Okay, hold on. You're right. But this is also like, I love Koo and I loved his reaction. I thought it was super cool. But the pathetic, sad part about this is like, this is the draft lottery and we're talking about the NBA draft here while NBA playoff basketball is going on right now. I, for one, am sick and tired of caring so much about the draft lottery and the draft every single year, especially after 15 straight years of it. So as fun as it is to win the draft lottery, not that the Kings have done that in my lifetime, But as fun as it is to be in these moments too, it's what happens on the basketball court that's ultimately more important. So I'm anxious to see how it shakes up. And we've heard so much about the top 5 of this draft, right? I'm really interested to see 2, 3, 4 years from now, who's that guy outside of the top 5, maybe even the top 10, maybe even the lottery in general, that suddenly is one of the darlings of the draft, and where does he end up? Because there always seems to be one that goes to a good team and everybody goes, what the hell? How did the Kings or whoever miss that guy? So we'll see. I look forward to looking back at this draft in a few years.
Jackson Gatlin, final thoughts.
Man, the Rockets kept the pick, and that's all that mattered, right? I was ecstatic the moment we saw that it wasn't the Rockets' name on that number 5 card, and then it wasn't on the 4, and it wasn't on the 3, and the hope just kept building. There was a slight tinge of disappointment when it came down to the Pistons and the Rockets for the number 1 overall pick for Cade Cunningham, but the most important thing is they just kept the pick. They kept it out of the hands of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they get to add a young prospect to an already exciting young core. So those are my takeaways, man.
There you go, guys. Join us back here, Locked On NBA on YouTube for the live draft show. Rafael Barlow will be part of that. We'll be live in Dallas from a studio, WFAA studio. We're excited to do that. We'll be hosted. Chad Ford will also join us. He was with us for a while here. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us on the Locked On NBA Draft Lottery Recap Show. Go watch some basketball. Go listen to some podcasts. That's all I got to say to everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Have a good night, guys.
Peace.
Boom.
Ciao.